Traffic Safety and Parking Commission meeting. We'll do the Pledge of Allegiance. Vice Chair Marcos, would you like to lead us?
Absolutely. You might.
Feedback.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So item number 3, roll call, Stephanie.
Crouchy,
Here.
Chair Isabel,
Here.
Vice Chair Martos,
Here.
Chair
Here. And approval of minutes, item number 4. Can I get a motion to approve the minutes for March 14th, 2024?
I motion to approve.
Can I get a second?
A second.
Second. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Crouchy,
Here,
No.
but,
Yes or no?
oh, yes. I was like
Yes.
deja vu.
Vice Chair Martos,
Aye.
Chair
Aye.
You missed Commissioner Israel.
I think so.
Did you,
I heard
I
it.
think I said
did you say aye?
Yeah.
All right, apologize.
So I should mention, members of the public may speak on any item not on the agenda. Members of the public wishing to suggest an item for future commission agenda may do so during this public comment period. The Ralph M. Brown Act, the state local agency open meeting law, prohibits the commission from acting on any matter that is not on the agenda. Speakers are requested to fill out a request to speak card located on the table by the door and hand it to staff. The provision of a name, address, or other identifying information is optional. Speakers are limited to 3 minutes each. The commission chair may adjust the time limit in light of the number of anticipated speakers. And with that, we move on to item number 5, public comments, non-agenda. And yeah, I think you need to read something.
Sure.
Is that in the first page? How did I miss that?
Not sure where it is anymore. Yeah.
Yeah.
Through the chair.
Mhm.
So for tonight's meeting, we're hybrid again. So you can be in person. If you're in person, you may submit a request to speak, slip to Ms. Brewer, and she'll pass it on to the chair and allow the person on whichever item to speak for chair's discretion, but it's usually 3 minutes, around 3 minutes. And if you're online, we no longer have, you're no longer able to speak online, but what you can do, and if Ms. Brewer will be able to catch it, send a comment or send an email to public comment, all one word, at burlingame.org. If we receive it in time, we'll be able, Ms. Brewer will try to read it. If it's sent on the appropriate time, we'll be on the lookout for it. And if not, we'll try to include it and forward to you guys as part of the public record if we do get it after. So other than that, oh, and again, if you can keep that to 250 to 300 words, so it's roughly about 3 minutes, that would be much appreciated. And with that, go back to you.
Thank you. So we'll move on to item number 5, public comments, non-agenda.
I have one email.
One email?
Mhm.
Okay.
This email comes from Doug Bojack. It says, "Hello, TSPC commissioners and staff. I'd appreciate it if the agenda for these meetings contained a little more detail about what agenda item will contain. For example, I have no way to provide input on agenda item 6, discussion action items tonight, by reviewing information in advance and providing this email with comments. I'd have loved to read about the city's bike ped project updates and what's happening with project selections for upcoming grants. Please include a short staff report with a little bit more info for these types of agenda items. Thank you."
Thank you. Any further public comment?
No other comments.
Okay, so we'll move on to item number 6, discussion and action items. Number 6A is bike ped project updates.
Are we supposed to be able to see that side screen?
No, are you?
That's right.
I'm just
Oh.
curious who it was for.
It's
The audience.
public.
No, the audience.
Okay, sorry for my interruption. Move forward.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Chair Replis. So tonight, the goal tonight, again, we're going to go over the bike ped projects that we have either they're underway, under construction, some of the grant funded ones. Some are under design. And I just want to give you an update because later this year, we will be bringing some of them back to you. So you have more bites at the apple, so you can take a look at it, provide feedback and be properly prepared when at some point you'll be asked to, do you support these improvements, engage the community support for it. So I just want to remind you of which ones are coming up, give you a quick refresher, and then just show you where we're in that process of, again, I'll call it the Candyland chart that we have. So again, tonight, review the update on the bike ped master plans. You'll be encouraged on some of these to attend the community meetings, not necessarily at Traffic Safety Park Commission, but they'll be in person somewhere. Again, provide feedback at the times that we will be in these chambers at upcoming meetings, and then again, determine the level of support and provide a motion for the council to ultimately to weigh in on. So with that, I'll share with you these 7 projects. Bicycle Boulevards, Phase 1. That's currently under construction. You may have seen the improvements there. If you've been on Carmelita, Paloma, Cappuccino, the others elude me, but you'll see it on here. The citywide quick build pedestrian improvements. You'll see some bulbs that have popped up in some of the neighborhoods. Some of the crosswalks have been refreshed. Next ones are the ones that we're still under design, preliminary engineering. They're Truesdale, Murchison, Davis bicycle improvements. I think you've seen a little bit of that, but I know one of the commissioners has definitely been at one of the community meetings. And then the Occidental traffic calming and pedestrian improvements. I think you were aware of this, and you'll see a little bit on here, but I think we're going to bring this one to the commission at some point once we get that final design. We've been working with the neighborhood, so. And then the ones that are under concept, California Drive from south of Oak Grove to the Burlingame Station. We're looking at trying to put a Class 1 facility, but we'll look at other options. South Rollins, which is south of Broadway. And you'll see the little photo there. It's trying to put some pedestrian improvements there, maybe some traffic circles just to break it up a little bit for speeds, as well as North Rollins. There's some pedestrian improvements, but that's, you'll get the phase of where those are at. So just quickly going over, this is the Bicycle Boulevard project, Grove Mills. That was the one I missed, but along these routes, some improvements were put in, some speed cushions, which you've been seeing about, we'll talk about later. And then stop signs, new greenback sharrows, things like that have been placed on this project. And I think we also improved some intersections just while we were there. So there's that project. That's the Bicycle Boulevard project, which should be wrapping up this summer. This is the pedestrian quick build project, this one being grant funded, several locations where we did enhanced crosswalks, flashing beacon out there at Airport and Beach, which will come online pretty soon. And then those bulb outs where we're tightening up the intersections a little bit to slow people from that they have to slow down to make the turn rather than roll through. Again, the Candyland chart, as you can see, these are well through it. They're actually in the project, under project construction and soon to be completed where we have to close it out. So those are pretty far along. That said, we'll talk about that one a little later under our update to give you just a little bit more. Now, Murchison, Truesdale, Davis Bicycle Improvement Project. So this is a project where along those 3 streets, spanning from Murchison from California to Sequoia, Truesdale from California to Casada, and Davis from Albemarle to Casada. So what we're talking about there is putting in bicycle facilities on each of those streets. And that ranges from Class 2B, which is a Class 2 buffered facility, to just a bicycle boulevard. So we've met with the community once on that, and we're going to bring it back to them, and you'll see when the next tentative date for the next meeting is. But I think I'd like to see if we can bring that back even to Teaspoon, just to try to reach out to as many folks as we can via Zoom, where they can attend and watch it Zoom, and maybe they can't attend in person. So maybe add another layer of outreach. And so here's the Occidental.
Can can we ask questions while you're going?
Sure.
So if you go back, I did attend the outreach and the community outreach meeting, and if I recall, all of these streets were class 2. Has that changed?
Murchison and Truesdale are class 2 facilities that we're looking at putting in. Davis is a little too narrow, so we're trying to do a bicycle boulevard, which would be, again, those sharrows with some sort of traffic calming along Davis as well.
Okay. But Murchison and Truesdale are class 2 all the way to California.
Correct, but when I say that, I know there are parts of Truesdale where it gets a little tight by the hospital. And so you'll see the new design, and that may be not completely a class 2 there, because not to get into it too much, but there's lanes there that we believe the hospital needs. And so we don't want to impact their operations for obvious reasons. So some of that may stay in place. Spell accidental, but Occidental, both Chapin and Ralston, we're doing some improvements there. Again, you could see some of these pork chop islands put in with much more. We're trying to square up those intersections that are not square. They're offset and they're angled. So we're trying to do some improvements there. And I think we will bring this one back. This has been, Harry had been to the community twice. I think we've nailed it down pretty well. And we'll share it with you folks, and then you'll be able to see the community, how they feel on that. And so these are here in the initial design phase, where we're still getting the feedback, and then we're cranking through the design once we get that feedback. So we're somewhere in there on both of those. So you're going to see that one for sure, but just wanted to give you again, what it roughly looks like, so you guys aren't caught too cold.
So, sorry, Mr. Wong.
Sure.
Just, I'd like to just let them get through it, and then we'll do a little Q and,
Okay,
questions and comments at the end,
I'll make sure I write.
if you don't mind.
down.
Thanks.
Okay, and we're almost through. So South Rollins looks like this. These are some of these intersections, but along south of Broadway, all the way to Burlingame Avenue, trying to do some there, whether we call it chicanes. We're moving the traffic sideways a little bit, so they have to slow down, as you can see there, or some traffic circles. Again, you'll see where this is at. And the North Rollins go all the way from Millbrae Avenue to Broadway, looking at doing some pedestrian enhancements along there. And then lastly, the big one, California Bike Improvement Project. We'll call this phase 2, phase 1 being, actually it's probably phase 3, because the first phase was between Millbrae and Broadway. So this is, but for extensive purposes, it's now phase 2 with the other one that we just completed. Yeah, so we're looking at trying to do something along there to get you actually to the end, which we'll call it, which is the train station, right? Get students, they have people use that to get to BIS, but more importantly, the end destination is being a Caltrain station, so you can catch that and go somewhere, as well as Burlingame Avenue. And we are here on that one. We're in the very beginning stages. We just got grants for some of those. Council's approved some of the matching funds, and so we'll be moving forward. So the upcoming schedule, the ones under construction, both the bicycle boulevards and the quick build, anticipated, most of it's done, but they should be done this summer. Like, as I said, the preliminary engineering, the Truesdale Murchison Davis project, we're having our second community meeting. I think it's tentatively scheduled next month, the 6th, at the community center. I will definitely get you that date, finalized date and the location. Occidental Traffic Calming Project, like I said, we've been out to the community twice. I think both meetings were productive, and the last one very productive as far as what the community wants and what seems like it'll work. And so we may have that one here just to give you guys the look at it, but try to let the community know, outreach, or be able to, we've had these as, first one was in a virtual meeting, and then the second one was an in-person, and the in-person one was successful. So I think we're good. We'll be hopefully pretty good on that one. And the last two, again, mentioned we're in concept design, California Drive, South Rollins and North Rollins. So we're presently seeking, I think we've almost finalized the paperwork with some designers bring aboard to, again, generate the concepts and be part of the outreach. And then once we set up those meetings, we'll start off with the community meeting. And then again, either have a second community meeting or bring it in here. That'll vary, but those are to be determined. We're too far back on those. So with that, now I'll be happy to take everyone's questions or comments.
Okay. So if you guys are okay with that, we'll just go right to left.
Mhm.
Okay.
Am I right?
You're on my right.
I don't really have any questions or comments because I think that all was very clear, but I just wanted to say, this sounds really silly, but when you pulled up the Candyland diagram to show us where we were on each of those different projects, that was really helpful just to have a visual. So
And I have to give credit where credit is due. That wasn't me. That was Commissioner Martos indicating that would be exactly what he said. So
oh, I'm a bit,
Nice job.
give him the,
so
Yeah.
it's super helpful.
anyway, thank you.
Kudos.
Yeah.
Vice Chair?
Why don't we let
Sure.
Commissioner Couchy go?
Commissioner Couch,
She had
go ahead.
questions after you.
Okay, so a few questions and a few comments. So an Occidental, looks like you're coming up in front of the TSP. But do you want us to wait till then to give comments? Is that what you want?
Yes,
or do
I mean,
you
at
want-
this point, it's just more of an update, and then these aren't even, I mean, these were some of the concepts, and I just wanted to fill the page. But when they come back, we're gonna have what, cleaned up, right? They'll look at the way that was, that the community had discussed. I think, whether we landscape them or not, and we're trying to balance out with the cost estimates. We talked about, well, maybe this one can't be fully landscaped, but those will be baked in, so you'll be able to comment on the real deal. These are still
High level.
more than, yeah, a little lower down. They're not the design plans, but yeah,
My concern is more on the, I forgot what that's called, the cars can,
the free right turn.
yeah,
Yeah, as you
in
can.
the
tell.
neighborhood, and I walk this all the time.
And we can talk about that at that point, because there was a reason. There were other, this was brought up in the community meetings, but then there was a balance, because it's also shorter walking distance, you get the island, but we can talk about it when we bring this back in the future, soon future.
Okay, I just have big concern of those in the neighborhood. And then, the other comment I would have is, on the California, project, I would have two comments on that. One is, instead of ending at the train station, if it went to Howard, which is only one more block, it would connect with the existing bike that's there. So it would really have a big impact on creating a completion of the bike lanes. And then the second one I have is also considering making it just go to downtown as well. So it just crosses through that intersection versus ending. So it's adding a block and then adding an intersection, but I think those would really have a big impact on that project.
Sure, and we can see what we can do, because that's what the grant, what we outlined in the grant and with the discussions with the grantors, but we can still try it. We can see where it is and talk with them again, see, because it benefits them as well. But again, once we start this, we'll see what the input is from the community and see if we can push that. But thank you.
Anything else?
That's it. Thank you.
Vice Chair?
Sure, Mr. Wong, through the chair. So the pre-engineering, so you had phases, pre-engineering, concept, and pre-engineering is more like stakeholder needs, right? You're out in the community, finding out what stakeholders want. And so there's really no design or any even concepts at that point. It's just ideas, and ideas flow into concepts. Am I understanding that correctly? Is that your mindset?
And it varies. Sometimes we'll try to put something we'll put something on there just to start the
Yeah.
discussion. But what we put on there isn't something that that's it. We're gonna go build that.
Yeah, because Occidental, it was pre-engineering. So the concept you put out there is, it's either, just ideas, but it's not really, you're not forming the stakeholder needs into concepts at that point. Or maybe you are.
These are a little bit, we started with concepts. This is
Okay.
advanced concept. And the next
Yeah.
we bring back, I think, has the feedback from 2 community meetings
Right.
with them, and there's a process that is even developed out of that,
Okay.
how we will go through this.
Okay. I just, in your chart, it said that this was pre-engineering. So that's why I thought we hadn't gotten to the concept stage yet, but that's okay. It is what it is. So I had a question about that. So what was the genesis or the impetus or the motivation to study that area?
And it was, so there was a grant that we were selected for that one. And it was on the bike ped master plan, and we'll get to that one later and look at it. We could probably find it. It wasn't a high level one, but it would just happen to be one there for traffic calming, probably through a neighborhood. And it was able to, yeah, it was one that we put in there because of the grantor's input and was selected.
Was it as a result of concerns by the community? Because I do recall seeing concerns, and I think BPD was called out to monitor speed and running stop signs or whatever out there. Is it response to that?
Some of it.
Okay.
Because it was already in the bike ped master plan.
Okay.
And then the feedback came in, and so it was like, well, we shared it with and the grantors, and they're like, oh, okay, I think we would be able to fund, or that would be a good candidate. So kind of a perfect storm.
All right, good. So the process is working. I wanted to go to the pet improvements. Can you bring that up? And just a quick question on the pet improvement.
The first one?
Yeah,
Sure.
So are all these done in process or planned to be done like this year or something? I mean, that's a lot and that's good.
Yeah, but they're just, again, they're striping. And we can get into it on the engineer's report, but I believe it's 95% done.
Cool.
A lot of those, because we've gotten some calls when they first went in.
Yeah.
And then I know the flashing beacon out there by the Bay Trail at Beach and Airport.
Yeah.
We've marked it out. That's not in there. They need some parts apparently to complete that installation, but yeah, that's probably one of the last things on here that have been installed.
Okay, no, I mean, it's more praise. I mean, this is good. I'm happy to see, even if it's just striping, you know,
Yeah.
I'm happy to see that, or enhanced crosswalks or anything, but that's good progress. Okay. Yeah, that's all I had.
Okay. All right. Yeah, so I have more comments. I don't really have any questions, but I definitely have noticed the quick builds around town. And some of them, there's not one that I'm not happy with, but some of them are more impressive than I like the Howard and Lorton.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's feels much safer. The Truesdale ones, I think are really, I can see the impacts. Slowing down the traffic at those intersections, which I think is good. And then, yeah, and then down along, one of my favorite areas, down around Beach Boulevard down there, Beach and Airport. The one thought that I have is, as everyone's aware, I think Commissioner Couchy would be aware too, we had the 101 corridor subcommittee that sunsetted, I think near the end of the summer last year. And one of the areas in our purview was North Rollins. So I know that that's going to go to concepts. So I would hope that we'll keep that report in mind when exploring the concepts for our North Rollins there, at least as a reference.
Sure.
Other than that, I'm looking forward to the Occidental. I know that's been a long conversation that's been going on for some time. And that is an area that I drive actually, and I seldom walk it, but drive it. And it is kind of a fast moving corridor. Other than that, I have nothing else to add. So unless somebody else, okay, go on.
Since I didn't ask any questions, I only gave a compliment. No, I just had a quick question, very easy. So with the bulb outs, some of them are already not looking great for the wear, even though they're new. And my question was just, Is there like any plan to make these temporary bulb outs more permanent if they're working well with like concrete curbing and, you know, planters or whatever? Or are they always going to be like, what's the long range vision for them? Are they always going to be just paint and what are those upright reflective?
Home delineate.
Yeah, paint delineators.
Uh, So that's a little, well, I think we'll get feedback from the community if everyone's a fan of it, but they will require more engineering. I mean, right now the bulb outs, when it rains, the water can just go through it around those delineators. But once we put a hardened surface there, you've got to make sure the grades are right. Otherwise, we're going to create a bigger problem for my colleagues to solve. And they're much more expensive, right?
Mhm.
You wouldn't be able to just, this one, we were able to hit them all at one shot, but you couldn't do it. I mean, you could, but it'd be much higher. So it's a combination of those things. We'll find out which ones are effective and maybe we have a priority where, you know, we start at the schools, where they're in parks, and then start, you know, where you can. But no, I think ultimately, yeah, I don't think anyone loves the delineators, but those will be bigger ticket items, so to speak. So.
Okay, I was curious. Thank you.
Okay, we're all good. So, I mean, I kind of feel like we sort of covered 6B, but I guess obviously we did not. Or did we accidentally?
6B?
Yeah,
Have to do our priority.
It's just
yeah,
I get to play around.
yeah, I'm just confirming that this is actually a separate item because we touched on so much on that one. So, so we'll move on.
Lot
to
more.
6B then.
Okay. Do this share. All right. Oh, good. So this one, I guess I'll probably get out of it to more interactive. So again, back in March, we talked about the bike ped master plan and how we wanted to apply it to upcoming grants. I had shown you, yeah, the unaddressed ones where I went through and pay no attention to the mess below. That'll be part of it. But all the lines through the projects that we either were working on, we've worked on, and some that were completed. And even with this, you could tell we could probably add more completed ones on there, but it's the remaining ones. What we'd like done? Which ones do you think we should, when we apply, that we can say, you know, obviously we've vetted through the bike ped master plan, so that's already one level, but then it's gone through our commission and they support these and see how much weight that has for when we apply for the grant, right? So hopefully you've all got to take a look through it. The goal was to take some of these and put you by it, but let me clarify a little bit because both Commissioner Martos and Commissioner Israel had asked about it. And obviously the bike projects are much bigger, much more expensive. So, you know, one box associated with that. But if you look at a lot of the pedestrian ones, some of them are simply add a high visibility crosswalk here in bulb out. So as we did with the quick build project, or we can have a citywide pedestrian improvement project, we can group a lot of those together. It just depends on what the improvement is. But for the pedestrian ones, we're able to group it. The bicycle ones, a little harder because they're already a corridor or a bigger section on a lot of them. Not all of them, but on a lot of them. So with that in mind, you know, obviously if we can pick off 3 bicycle ones and then pick off a bunch of the pedestrian ones, and then staff will go back and try to see if we could package it as a project. So with that in mind, turn it back over to the chair to see how you would like to go about this exercise.
So, I'm a little confused. So the ones that have the lines through them,
Those should be, you don't need to address.
Don't need to-
Those we've done. There's a project, for instance, California Drive, Broadway to Carmelita. We did that portion as well as Carmelita Oak Grove as the class 2B facility you see out there now.
okay, so what,
The ones that have no line through it are the ones that we were interested in getting feedback and seeing which ones of those you're interested in.
so we're gonna try to pick from the California Drive, Howard to Peninsula, Oak Grove, Dwight
Yep.
neighborhood, Cadillac neighborhood, Oak Grove, Primrose, Howard, El Camino, Adeline, Bernal, and take 3 out of those.
Or, and as well as,
5 pages.
Another
There's
Yeah.
5
Oh,
pages.
there is.
There's 5, 4 pages.
Hmm.
Here, you can just take my choices.
But do you want us just to like, each can say there are 3? I mean.
We're using overall schema. Overall schema.
So the
And just. see which ones have choice.
concern I have is I can't see all of them on one page. I mean,
Well, seriously, you
Yeah.
want to look at them here? Take the pages off. Here, do this.
I kind of figured that
I
we'd
mean,
see.
pay no attention to what I voted for.
I'm not.
Don't be wrong.
I haven't written,
Yeah.
oh, no, I have, never mind.
There we go.
I mean, let me ask my fellow commissioners this. Have you all given this some previous thought?
Yes.
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 Okay. So that's more than I have. So then I know what I'm gonna do then. All right, I'm gonna hang on to this for a minute. You can obviously use it for your notes.
Okay.
I'm going to, if everyone is okay with this, we'll just go and each one of us will give their 3.
Mhm.
And then we'll see how coalesced we are. And then we'll go from there.
We know,
Okay?
because if we all say the same 3.
then you get a special box. You get this box that has
Let me borrow that.
dashed on it. I was prepared.
Yeah.
If you need it for reference.
Rainbow box.
I'm gonna
Go
borrow.
ahead,
it.
digest.
I'm gonna go last.
I know what I'm going to talk about.
Okay. So let's start, we did the last with right to left, so we'll start with Commissioner Couchy.
So, I'm gonna add a little flair to this. I'd like to add, what's not on here is to make the quick builds permanent. That adds something that has come up repeatedly with
Okay.
people in my neighborhood. It's come out on the TSP meetings 3 times now in the last 3 meetings. So I'd like to put that as something we go for grant money for. The second one is the very first one that I already brought this up. You have California Drive, Oak Grove to Howard. I'd really like to push that, oh, it does say to Howard. Oh, it says to Howard.
Howard to
The
community.
Howard Peninsula.
So it's going all the way to Howard.
Sorry, through the chair. That's a different section. There should be another one here. It says Oak Grove to Howard. That's the dash line on top.
Yeah,
And we can look at it. And again, the difficulty with that is that after Burlingame Avenue, California changes widths, right? It gets a little narrower. So putting in a facility there becomes a little more difficult. And potentially there may not be one that goes all the way in, so it may have to,
but if we could just get it to Howard, because Howard is where that other one is.
okay. And again, as I said earlier, we'll try to look, see what we can do to extend that. And
Because the narrowness is what makes it so dangerous for the bike rider too. Okay, and then my next pick is Howard Avenue. It's the one that's El Camino to Myrtle.
okay. Last 2. Okay, that's on the other side.
Yeah, and then my first one was the
Yeah, I didn't want to.
quick builds. And then if I were gonna do another one on here, I would do the Rollins Road, Broadway to Murchison. And just for clarity, my focus was really on how do we connect and complete the bike routes, especially the bike lanes that have been created, because those are half done, really don't provide the value that they could, and the usage that they could if they were connected. And so I really focused in on how do we connect what's already been started so that we can get it, the full value and potential out of that investment that's been made.
Okay, and again, that's the point of the bike ped master plan, and it's about how fast or how long it'll take to advance all that, if you look at the map.
I know some of those are harder, but I think the impact will be massive.
Okay.
So did you choose three? I feel like you
And
chose four.
I chose 3 and I added 1, which is the quick build, making those permanent. It's not on here. I think we need to, because they're going out for grants. So that is something they need to go out for grants to be able to do it.
Are there any quick build bicycle facilities? No? This is bicycle.
I think they were all, no, I'm sorry, quick build bicycle facilities.
Are all the quick builds pedestrians? That's a good question.
Pretty much, these are all.
I mean, it's still just striping and delineators in a way. A class 2B is a quick build, but it has greater impact, right? Because maybe parking has to be removed or something like that. So but
You're probably right. I think that's a good point. I think it's probably be more pedestrian, right?
I feel like,
But yeah,
I feel like the quick builds, most of them have been completed for this summer.
and they're all
We have to
pedestrian.
wait and see how they do before we make them permanent, is what you were saying.
Sometimes we just get some
Let them
feedback from the
do-
community, right? And then be able to reach out. So it might be a little too quick because by the time the grant comes, we wouldn't have obtained any feedback. So we wouldn't know which ones would be
I would say that's
Right.
true on the ones that just happened, but on the ones in my neighborhood, they've been there for over a year or so.
I know.
Yeah.
And that could be part of the discussion. I mean, we can see
Yeah.
if that's it.
Okay. So that one I'm pausing for the pedestrian piece.
Okay.
That's a good point. And then, those are my,
So what are the three, can you just?
Sure.
The three to me, please?
I believe it's the first one would be the California Drive, Oak Grove to Howard, the class 4 facility there, and that would be to extend it to Howard, but we could, and we'll take a look at that once. We'll have, again, that one's just starting out. Second one was Howard El Camino to Myrtle, a class 2 facility.
Mm-hmm.
And then Rollins, Broadway to Murchison, a class 4 facility.
Mm-hmm.
the first one was a class 2, right? Right?
It's a class 4, so that's something similar to what's on
Oh, yeah. Okay.
California Drive right
Yep,
now.
yep. Thank you.
Okay. Commissioner Israel?
My list is, California, Howard to Peninsula. And then Oak Grove, East and West.
Hmm.
I guess we didn't.
You only said two, though.
No, she got 3. He's there too. Yeah.
Oh, I got you. Okay, let me see those on here. I still have your Oak Grove, East and West. Oh, I got you.
Those two.
All right. Okay. All right. Vice Chair Martos.
Sure. So Mr. Wong, put a big box around Oak Grove East, Cadillac neighborhood, and Oak Grove West, and that'll be 1.
Oh,
You can get my joke. I'm,
I was
gr-
gonna
I'm,
say-
I'm grouping
Yeah, I know.
3 as
See 'em.
1.
yeah, I see that now.
So those are my 3. I think
So
we
you
should
have those
build
three right
out,
there.
yeah, I think we should build out those bike routes in the neighborhood
That's
like that.
fantastic.
That'll add a lot of benefit to those communities. So I picked those 3.
So you know those are 3B, right? Class 3B.
Yep.
Okay.
And they're short term. So I also looked at the feasibility, and those are short term projects. So those are feasible, more feasible than some of the others. Is there an honorable mention, like the opportunities? Because there's a lot of opportunities there.
I'd like to avoid on any unnecessary occasion.
All right, all right.
As we could,
all right.
yeah, we end up
Uh,
just going around and around.
I'll just trust that you, if you see an opportunity there, it'll fall into place, right? Mr. Wong?
Well, I will say the Cadillac Neighborhood Bike Group, you could almost, and some, I mean, it depends. For short term, yes, this can go in, but I know ultimately because it connects with the bike pedestrian overcrossing and eventually with the station. And I know we're trying to push Caltrain, not the Trans, Train to put some sort of crossing access there at Carolyn and Cadillac. Because obviously they're having people cross into the station, and then we've got all these new access points to take you over the tracks, but we get you to Carolyn and then you got your go up the signal. So trying to provide something there. So in a way that might be an opportunity, but this is obviously, you know, what this is a class 3B, it's something shorter that can be installed. Okay. As part of
Can I ask you, anything related or adjacent to the Burlingame or the Broadway, California overcrossing?
anything.
Probably wouldn't be built until after the overcrossing is finished, completed, right?
Okay, say that one more time, just so I'm sure.
Anything around the Broadway overcrossing,
Yes.
the
Grade
grade
separation.
separation. For example, there wouldn't be, would it make sense to do Cadillac neighborhood, to develop the Cadillac neighborhood bike routes before the overcrossing is completed or the grade separation is completed?
So there are, like, I'm sorry, through.
Like, how do these clash is what I'm asking.
No, I get what you're, and it depends on where you want to start, because, you know, just say by Rector's second driveway all the way to Rollins. The grade separation project isn't going to impact that, but right at the intersection of Carolyn and Cadillac, there may be some changes there, right? As well as Broadway and Carolyn, there may be new signals there for sure, right? And right now, at some point, and we don't want to talk about it, it's going to get really messed up, right? Because they have to do a shoe fly and have an alternate route for the train. But so that far, roughly just a little bit east of Carolyn, that's probably the limit as far as the improvements. And then going the other way, yeah, just actually, it's even closer. It's probably the east side of California. And then the intersections, right, of obviously Carmelita in California and Broadway in California get significantly changed. But those are the only improvements. And then everything else is within that corridor of the train corridor. That makes sense. So we're not going too far out. And like I said, the Cadillac one, maybe there could be some changes. But I think identified, look at the top three, they were all California, right? They've been touched either by us already or can be touched by the grade separation project. We've already touched some of it, right? That's going to be changed by the grade separation because right there between Carmelita and Broadway, it's on the street right now. And ultimately that gets picked up and put onto where the Maverick Jacks parking lot is. And then we get that lane back a little bit. And as we talked about at the joint meeting, parking could potentially return along California on the west side. So that's, I think, all the impacts that are associated with the grade separation.
Okay. So for me, my top three would be California, Howard to Peninsula. And I'm a little surprised no one mentioned Hillside, but that's okay. There's not a wrong or right on that, but Rollins and Broadway, Rollins, Broadway, Murchison. And I'm anticipating we're going to have another round because I want to hear some case made for the Oak Grove east-west Because in my mind, that's not a busy corridor, but I might be missing something. And I very likely am. I'll probably stand corrected. But I'm just gonna throw in there Adeline and Bernal, because that's one that another one I'm surprised no one mentioned. But with that, let's do another round, and this time I'll go right to left. If that's okay with everybody.
Yeah. Well, I mean, this round, we're just making comments or?
Well,
I'm gonna switch.
If we're gonna coalesce, or we're gonna switch, or if there's just comments to, make a point of
Yeah.
why maybe somebody missed something, what your opinion on that, and
Well, I think the Oak Grove, the reason that Oak Grove is important is it goes past McKinley and to the high school. So I think that that's why it's a bike route. It's also, I think, probably we talked about east-west connectors going to the bike lanes that we have on Carolan and California. And this is, I think, one of the east-west connectors. So that's, one reason why I picked it. Just right, two schools and connects to east west. And then as far as I drive downtown recently, and I don't know that I have ever seen. I found it surprising to see it on the list because I don't think I have ever seen bikes. Even when kids are going to school, they tend to go on Balboa and come to school that way. And so to me, it didn't make sense at all. I couldn't see how it worked. It's super congested right there. As cars come off of El Camino up Adeline to take kiddies to school, either Mercy or Lincoln. And as I said, most Lincoln kids avoid it because it's not the safest place for them to ride their bikes to get to school. They come down Balboa. So that's I actually really don't like that option. But I don't know if it's, going to happen anyway, since it's on the list.
okay. Just one question before I move to you, Commissioner Couchy. Isn't Bernal a bike route, designated bike route now?
I don't think so.
I'd have to.
I believe so.
But, even if it is a designated bike route, north-south, like Adeline, nobody rides bikes in Adeline. It's just too congested. It's narrow. It's a yield street. You've got Mercy parents flying up it. Like, you might cross Adeline at those, the new walkway that was put in. They restriped and made it really much safer and more obvious. But people don't ride up and down Adeline proper. So that's why it just makes sense.
Mhm.
And I don't think it would ever be safe. Like Sharrows or something. It still would not be where I would want my children.
Okay. Commissioner Couchy?
So regarding your comment about how Oak Grove is used to go by the high school and to McKinley, I think that is a really important point, and I hear from a lot of the parents who go to McKinley how a lot of the parents actually bike with their children to McKinley. And so I've heard a lot of the parents talk about how they'd like to see safety improvements growing across the railroad tracks and to the school. So I completely agree with that. The reason I did not pick it is because it's class 3B. And I actually think that will make it more dangerous than less dangerous. It's just, I find that those sharrows don't help bicyclists, and I don't think the parents will have the kids use that. I think they'll still be riding on the sidewalk. So that is why I didn't pick it. If it was a different class, that definitely would have made my top 3.
Through the chair, just to clarify that, so the class 3B, the B indicates that there's a little additional. So yes, it has a Sharrow, but it also has some traffic calming features. If you look along Carmelita, we've got speed cushions or, stops can be considered as well. So just to clarify that, there's, I think, very few, although I did see one on there, just straight class 3 facilities. Most of them are, as per the bike ped master plan, are enhanced some way. So
Just my logic is around, it's the elementary kids. And I think the parents won't use the Sharrows. So that's my logic there.
What about the high? Do you think there could be kids that are coming from the other side of Alpine? Just throwing that.
High schoolers might, but again, it's just a Sharrow, so they kind of use it already. So that was my logic. So that's my add-on. And then, again, really, my focus was how do we connect the dots so that these bike lanes actually take someone to a destination, so they provide ultimate value. And so I was trying to connect them to downtown and to the other existing bike lanes.
So I have one question. So I see Commissioner Couchy is marked for California, Oak Grove to Howard, but that's got a line through it.
through chair, I think the part of that one is, which we'll have a discussion on, is right now, the project we have goes from Oak Grove to the Burlingame Station.
Station, right?
So it's just
Sure.
making that last little bit.
Right.
So
Fair. Vice Chair Martos?
So like Commissioner Israelit, you know, the safety around the high school in Oak Grove, I thought was important. I also thought that the 3B short-term builds with traffic calming would be a good way to enhance the bike routes in the neighborhood there in north of Lion Hogue, and the Cadillac connection goes from Carol Ann to get onto that overpass to get to Bayside. That short little portion of Cadillac, I thought would be a good area to do just a quick 3B. So the connection, people travel on their bikes down Caroline, they want to get to Bayside and that overpass. There's a designated Sharrow there with some traffic calming to get them through that little segment. So that's why I voted for those three.
Which one was the last one?
Cadillac Neighborhood Bike Route. So the 2 Oak Groves and Cadillac Neighborhood Bike Route.
Is there any way you could pull that up? You're pretty good at that.
up.
Pull that up, that section he was talking about.
Yes, because I think I was just looking.
I'm playing a poker game here.
Hmm.
So I'll wait for you to finish that so we don't get lost.
Yeah, it's right, that little purple.
So it's this little purple right
little
here,
Purple piece.
cursor, it's right there. And it's just by where the Audi is, connecting it.
Where then you go on the bike,
Then you enter the bike overcrossing.
and that would be a quick build, correct?
Yeah, that's just a small Sharrows, but let's see. Yeah, it would just, I mean, again, it'd still be a project. We'd do outreach because just again, you may have some feedback from the businesses there and things like that, but
Does that connect all the way to the bike lane that's on Carol Ann?
it does.
Okay.
Through the chair?
Oh.
Sorry, I was just going to indicate, again, we don't,
We don't have to
Maybe
come up
knuckle.
with the same three.
yeah, we don't have to come with the same thing. We don't have to, because
Chair?
No, but I mean, I
Reiterated.
no, I just feel like at this point though, like we're very scattered. Like I don't see a lot of alignment, but I think I'd have a path to that. I just have a couple of questions though.
okay.
And I'm watching the clock, believe me. So Cadillac, it's just, it links, I want to fully wrap my head around it. So it's basically linking Carol Ann to Rollins?
Yes, I mean, in essence, it's already there. It's just enhancing that
Yeah,
with some Sharrows and
and
maybe kind of traffic calming.
Indulge me one more time. Why do you think that's so valuable? I'm not criticizing, no wrong, no, right. I want to hear it again.
Is traveling to Bayside across the overpass, the O'Mahony
Gotcha.
overpass.
Actually, I get it.
Traveling down Caroline, there's bike lanes, nice bike lanes. And people want to get over to that O'Mahony Bridge to get
Right.
over to Bayside. It'd be nice to complete that segment. And have some, dedicated, or not even dedicated, but sharrows and some traffic calming in that small segment.
Well, and through the chair, we actually have sharrows there now, but
Okay.
they're not, I mean, they're not greenback sharrows. They're the
Okay.
regular white ones, which, they're there, but they may not, the green ones tend to pop a little bit more now, right? Having that green background, that contrast, but then there's nothing else along there as far as traffic calming. So,
So the limited screen space actually is confusing me, but I think what I'm gonna do for my top three, it's been I mean, obviously I worked on that 101 subcommittee and so connecting Rollins to downtown and to Broadway and to the Bayfront has been something that's been near and dear to me. So with that, I'm now piecing together the Oak Grove East-West with the Cadillac. But I would like to see Rollins Broadway Murchison. So since I think we have two for the Oak Grove East-West, I'm gonna do the Broadway Murchison with Cadillac. And I mean, what, can you explain to me why Oak Grove East and West are two separate? Is it funding? Or is it,
through the chair, I don't know how it, I can't recall how it was broken out.
yeah,
But again, you go back to the previous presentation, we have Cappuccino, Paloma, Mills, Grove, all part of a bike boulevard project. So on this one, again, knowing that that's important, we can combine the Cadillac, that Cadillac Oak Grove. And yeah, we can, what Commissioner Martos indicated, those three, we can combine that. That could be one project, right? We're just not going to do class 3B because again, these are relatively, it's not like we're, putting in a hard curve or something like that.
Right.
And it's just striping and mostly striping and then outreach, right? To let folks know what's happening and to minimize impacts. But yeah, so I guess what I was alluding to with Commissioner Israel is that, you have 7, 8, including the first one with Commissioner Couchy's little extension there. But so that one's already in the works. That one, we might even fall off because we can try to do it as part of the project that we're currently working on. But we have 7 bicycle projects and we can maybe consolidate some. But again, we're just showing that this is what the commission prefers, not like you have to pick one of these. And then we're going to show them the rest of the bike ped master plan. Because if they don't, somehow they like, oh, we don't support these for this grant, we're going to look through the rest of it. So they're going to be seeing pages. So by narrowing it down, we're doing them a favor, but it just shows, I mean, in this case, it's the entire first page of the bicycle priorities, all the high scoring ones or high priority ones, all trying to get taken care of. So,
Which actually makes sense.
yeah. So I mean, again,
yeah, so I'm just gonna make my top three.
Sure.
The Oak Grove East-West, and then I'll do the Rollins Murchison. And then, do we need to take public comment on this? Item? No public comment?
So quick question though, on those ones that are the sharrows, which are just striping, do we actually need to get a grant for those? Or would those just be city funded?
Well, first we'd have to design it. So, I mean, we don't need to get grant funds for those, but we do need to get council's approval to go forward with the design on some of those. But I mean, to answer your question, no, we don't need grant funding, but we do need some sort of source.
Then it is going to be harder to get grant funding for sharrows now too, I think.
Yeah, typically the quick build's different. If there's a quick build out there, these are appropriate, but yeah. I understand. Yeah, they'd rather have a improved facility. Now we've gotten that as well.
Yeah.
Anyone else? My only comment is I miss whiteboards. With the little magnets and you move them around. Okay, very good. So,
Pedestrians. We have to go to the pedestrian one.
you're right. Thank you for that reminder. My optimism was,
Go to the pedestrian.
yeah. And we should have split this into 2 meetings. Okay, next year, whoever's the chair can do that. 6B, TSPC, now we'll do the pedestrian master plan. Okay.
So many of these are already completed or in the process.
So those that you labeled Caltrans, does that mean Caltrans is actually doing those?
No, well, I take that back. Yes and no. Most of those are in Caltrans right away. But as part of the El Camino Real Renewal Project, we're trying to extend it on some of those. And I think that's what, I mean, I don't think any of those are 101. So I think all those we're trying to get as part of that project, working with them. So,
So there's efforts underway to make those part of that project, but it hasn't.
correct. And a lot of them are. Yes.
Is the bottom line. Don't pick.
Mm. Your message is coming into me as we work with that group.
All right, who should go? Who do you want to go first here?
Let's do right to left. We'll start with you.
Oh, okay. So for the pedestrian, as I said, like a lot of them are already completed and some of them aren't stricken off, but like isn't Lorton and Howard already completed?
And-
So, so there wasn't a lot to pick from,
Okay.
is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
So, but I did pick the Broadway US 101 pedestrian bridge signage and such.
Sorry, what number does that have?
Oh,
That'll help.
you really have to ask that difficult.
Oh,
Let's see, what's
sorry.
the first page?
Okay, the first page.
I think. Let's go to that.
Oh, God, there are a lot of them, aren't there?
Mm,
Wait a second.
It was Broadway / 101. Oh, my goodness.
Okay, well, there's the wayfinding, right? There-
Yes.
There it is.
Right there.
Bingo.
Oh.
So that one, and then the other one I put was Balboa and Ray. Isn't that where you just put in a 4-way stop recently, or is that Albemarle and Ray?
Balboa and Ray, I believe, has a always stop.
But no crosswalks, right?
Yeah, that might,
Okay, so that's what I picked because it's a lot of kids walk to BIS
Okay.
or
it has crosswalks, but maybe not on, okay.
to Lincoln. There's tons of kids that go crisscross to the 2 schools, so I think it's really important. And I just picked 2 because the other ones that I felt strongly about were all sort of taken care of, so I just didn't have strong feelings about number 3.
Is that it?
Yes, sir.
Commissioner Couchy?
Right, I thought we were going this way.
Oh, he's got my notes. So
Oh, no, but it's following how we began the meeting. Vice Chair Martos wanted to go after the right and left.
So,
We're in the middle.
okay, so I'm assuming the projects that have Caltrans on them will be taken care of.
That's the goal.
The Oak Grove and El Camino, again, because it's by a school, I think that needs extra attention. And the Burlingame El Camino needs extra attention because it's right by the downtown, but I'm assuming that
Yeah.
will be taken
Yes.
care of. The other ones that I was unsure of, just like we just talked about, so Burlingame Avenue, Lorton, Park Road, and Primrose. Those have all been done. It's actually on Burlingame Ave.
And those I think we talked about a few meetings ago where we're trying to include those, again, opportunity project, trying to basically put some striping. This is the one where I worked with former Commissioner Lee about trying to just make those crosswalks pop. And we agreed that we would just enhance the 12-inch line on each of it and leave the pavers as they are. So
That's
those,
already happening, right?
that is not happening. Well, there's not a project for it. We are aware of it and we're trying to incorporate it. So if you want to include that one, we could do that. So we haven't designed anything, or, I mean, we haven't laid it out yet. So potentially it could be done, but I haven't associated with any work yet, either another striping project or a resurfacing project. So.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Through the chair.
Mhm.
I know that that was something that Commissioner Lee had brought up, but I didn't realize that that was something that had been decided that would happen. Because we do have the decorative pavers and we do have stoplights and stop signs at all those, they're all intersections where cars must stop.
And through the chair, I thought with this group, we talked about, it, we weren't, I mean, so for instance, you have the pavers and you have those concrete bands that hold the pavers.
Mhm.
They would just be enhancing those concrete
Right.
bands with some striping. Those pavers would be left alone, just to make the intersection pop a little bit. So all the pavers inside the band remain the same, and you just have the two white lines on top of the concrete. That, to that extent, we weren't gonna, yeah, we were aware and trying to maintain the downtown, but also trying to do something for vehicles, because right now it does blend in a little bit with that. So that was the only enhancement. I think originally we're not gonna enhance the crosswalk with high visibility, or that's not the plan, and to break up the pavers, but just get the borders, really.
There's a lot of cars creeping up into the crossing area. Did you have?
Oh.
anything else?
So if you go to map ID 13, is that a better way to
No.
look through it for you?
No.
It's on page 9. Is that a better one?
Can you tell me the points associated? That's the
Uh,
next to last column. I could,
5.
5. Okay, so we know that's somewhere here, or here, or here. Okay. 5 is, which one now?
The Broadway 101 pedestrian bridge.
Yeah,
Oh.
one. That's just signage, wayfinding signs to,
So nothing like on a crosswalk.
not on,
There was a study that was done to some of the improvements that could be made there. And I think Athens, you were on that study. I don't know if
Right.
this was with you.
Broadway and Rollins. Some of that was enhanced as part of the project that we just talked about, the quick builds. Those crosswalks are now high visibility crosswalks. Is that what you're describing there?
Well,
I think we just,
I'm kind of counting on you to tell me what this.
and just because those are recently done, I haven't,
But I thought, okay, you know how you go up and over, right?
Yep.
And Commissioner Martos brought up kind of that lack of connection there on crossing the street. And then when you get on the other side, you're kind of right by that hotel. And so I thought we were talking, and then in your study, there was talking about some improvements that could be made for the pedestrians crossing over.
Mhm.
And a lot of the pedestrians were actually crossing over on the road versus using the pedestrian bridge, just because of lack of clarity on its availability.
and maybe that's where the wayfinding is coming in play. I don't think there's,
And
I'd have to look. There's one talking about, I know which area you're talking about, right? It's right where, do another share. I believe you're talking about this, oops, this area here, right, where there's no crosswalk. And the kind of where folks are coming from the Hyatt, and then they get to here, and then they have to double back and cross here to get over here. Sometimes folks get all the way down here, wanting to, cross on this side or walk along this side to get up here, but they actually have to cross earlier. I think that may be what some of the wayfinding could be for.
And then, so if they get, so we're trying to have them cross over before we have the on-ramp and the exit ramp.
Correct.
And if they get all the way up to where your arrow is, a little there,
Yeah.
there's no place to cross there.
There's no place to cross.
So there'd be signs back there to say,
Yeah, there
cross now.
a barricade or, yeah, a barricade sidewalk. or-
Last exit before toll.
And then I thought there was also going to be signs down near Broadway so that people actually knew there was that pedestrian.
I thought so too. When I picked this, I thought it was also to guide people the other directions.
And we can look at that. We've looked at that a little bit, but
Yeah.
there was still when to time that these improvements. I think that's where that discussion kind of capped off at. So we can look at that, but then that can be something. But yeah,
So that's one of my picks.
okay.
Okay.
And then my other pick was the one about making things, the temporary build outs permanent. That's my second pick. And I just have two picks.
Yeah, I've got that one written down because we don't have.
Okay. Vice Chair Martos?
Mhm. Mr. Wong, let's see, I don't know what page this is. 1, 2, maybe the third page. Nope, 4, 5, 6, sixth page maybe. There's Victoria Road, Burlingame Avenue
Okay, these are under pedestrian.
is pedestrian, yeah.
Okay, again,
Yep.
you've got the number.
Sixth page of pedestrian improvements, yeah.
Was there,
Go on.
what's the total points?
Total points 5.
5. Okay,
That's a good way to
wrong
sort.
direction.
Yeah, that's a good way to sort.
There we go. Victoria and Howard?
Victoria Howard, one more page.
Oh,
It's right there.
Oh, there you go. Okay. Oh, it's different on my printout. So that's my number 1. Oh,
Okay, nope, sorry, I'm
Oh.
grabbing this. I'm grabbing this, so I
Okay.
do that.
so that's, if I understand this, I see the high visibility crosswalks, great, but I'm more interested in install advanced stop pavement markings, curb extensions. That intersection was a real problem with people coming down Rollins and merging onto Victoria Road without any traffic calming at that point. And there are families with children there. There's a park a block away. Rollins, people drive typically 40 miles an hour, and then they hit that intersection onto Victoria Road at 40 miles an hour. But the improvements that were done as part of the Lion Hogue traffic calming, parking work that was done have been fabulous. So that's like a best practice, and when you look at some of the improvements on Rollins, you should definitely look at what was done at that intersection of Burlingame, Victoria, and Rollins, and how, because that really does bring people down to like 15 miles an hour, which is perfect. So I'd like to see that become more permanent.
Okay.
That's number 1. And then, I kind of debated, if you go back up to total point 6,
Yes.
so there's go up to 6. One more. So the Burlingame Avenue there, so Lorton, Park, Primrose, it says opportunities, but, and I know I can only pick 3, but I'm going to say do all three of those. They're crosswalk enhancements, you know? I mean, that doesn't take a whole lot. In Burlingame Avenue, why would you do one crosswalk and enhance it and not do the rest? I really think that, you know, we should enhance those crosswalks on Burlingame Avenue. So I would say Victoria Road is number one, and, you know, pick two or all three of these as 2, 3, and 4. Or maybe you make this just one big project, but those are my picks.
Thank you again. We can look and obviously try to combine a bunch of these, right?
Yep.
So,
Well, if you're going to combine those, then I'll take airport as my third pick, but the one right above it. But it does, I think that, you know, enhancing crosswalks, that's an easy thing to do. And on Burlingame Avenue, they should be enhanced, in my opinion.
All right, thank you. Yeah, and I just have to just throw my support behind any of the crosswalk enhancements on Burlingame Avenue. Again, I don't see speed necessarily as an issue there, but I do see people creeping into the crosswalks. And then just yesterday, I was at Burlingame and Lorton, waiting to cross east on Lorton. 2 teenage girls are to my right. I'm there. A guy in a Chevy Silverado pickup turned right in front of us, you know, and that's pretty common right there, that intersection. People just I don't know what they are thinking necessarily, but it's congested with pedestrians, bicycles, vehicles, and they just push their way through sometimes. But those aren't my picks. My picks for this one are easy. Truesdale, El Camino Real. I know there's a lot of pedestrian traffic between the hospital and the train station. And so I'm going to go for that one. And then there's two or three senior facilities there. And we have the new development on the east side of El Camino Real, and they'll be crossing over to Burlingame Plaza. And then Old Bayshore Highway and 101. That's one of my favorites. And Airport Boulevard, the mid block by Bayside Fields. That's another one that I'm looking forward to someday. So those are my three. This was an easy one for me. So unless anyone else has anything they want to add.
through chair,
Done, go ahead.
what was the second one? I know the first,
Old Bayshore Highway and 101?
Old Bayshore.
Yes.
The first one was, okay.
Truesdale ECR?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that was Caltrans.
Yeah.
That's one we're trying to do. Old Bayshore 101, high visibility crosswalk on North Approach. And that one, that was a coordination with Caltrans on that one,
Mhm.
trying because that should have this.
Yeah, through the chair.
Sure, go ahead.
Yeah, so Mr. Wong, the long-term projects, looking at this chart right here, says low feasibility, low priority. So it's like low. I mean, that's not very likely that's going to get implemented anytime soon. So I didn't vote for any of the long-term projects, even though there were some that I really liked, like that crossing at Bayside, but it was a long-term project. But just for my colleagues, this says low priority, low feasibility.
There's no cross.
Okay.
Well, there's
Low
no sidewalk on
chance.
the other side of,
Yeah,
there's no sidewalk
Yeah.
on the other side, but
but yeah.
But
No, I mean, we talked about that one at Bayside, and that I took a picture. We should have something there, but
and
if it's not feasible and the priority's low, yeah,
through the chair, I think this one, I think you may have asked Commissioner Martos, but then
Did.
someone else has asked, we're looking at that, but of course, if you put there was one there when the interchange
right.
being done, but that was temporary because there was you couldn't cross up closer. Park and Rec's been interested in maybe paving that side of Bayside, so there's actually, if you cross at that crosswalk, there's somewhere, so this one's kind of in the back of the mind that once some work's done on the Bayside side, then we could, we'll do something and enhance it. Cause we see that because people can park across the way, walk across, a couple extra parking spaces when Bayside's too full or they're going from the park and we'll look at that one. So although it says long-term, there's it's at least floating around.
Okay.
It's not out of,
All right.
out of sight, out of mind.
And one, and just, just as a quick comment, I mean, I feel like I frequent the waterfront. I feel like there's over the last, at least this year, there definitely seems to be a renewed interest in the waterfront recreationally by a lot of people. I'm noticing it's way busier every day of the week. And it's also, it's for the city. I mean, the hotels, the buildings there, the business campuses. So anything that then, enhances that waterfront, I think. And I see, I have more and more colleagues coming in from out of town for business because I have new business in the Bay Area and they love the Bayfront there. So that's just, I was at Kincaid's last night and there was standing room only,
Mhm.
packed.
That's good.
That was what's tonight? Tonight's Wednesday, Thursday, it was Wednesday night. It was packed.
Just real quick,
Sure.
since I only voted for 2. If you go back to the ones that had the 5 rating, there was Burlingame Avenue and Bloomfield.
Yep.
I'd add that one just because that is a school route.
Mhm. There's one of mine, too.
Tag,
Pick 'em.
there we go.
Couldn't pick 'em all.
Okay, so I think we're done now with 6B. Anybody else? Do we need to take any public comment? Wonderful, thank you. So let's, it's 8:23, time check. So we'll go to number 7, information items. 7A, public comment related to informational items.
I have an email to read for the record.
Okay,
So this email comes from Andrea Capazzoli. Hello, Syed and Andrew. Donna forwarded to me a response to the email I sent to her regarding the new traffic adjustments, parentheses, speed bumps. Oh, you can't hear me. I'm not muted. Is this better?
oh, yeah.
Yes.
I'll start over. Hello, Syed and Andrew. Donna forwarded to me your response to the email I sent to her regarding the new traffic adjustments, parentheses, speed bumps and stop signs on Carmelita Ave. I appreciate your immediate response to her communication and wanted to formally add my concerns to this evening's meeting agenda. While I can understand the goal to reduce the speed of traffic on Carmelita from east of El Camino Real to California, the speed bumps now installed from ECR through Vancouver feel excessive for the traffic patterns in this section of Carmelita. I live on Drake Avenue and have been a resident since 1997. I can confidently share that I am aware of the traffic patterns for the last 25 years. While there is heavy use of Carmelita during Roosevelt's drop-off time, the speed pattern is not overly excessive compared to the other portion of Carmelita. Several of my neighbors have children, and we walk our families and dogs multiple times daily on Carmelita. I'd like to bring the following items and observations to the commission. 1, the addition of the speed bumps on each block has now created a much more significant and serious safety problem for those of us on Drake. And as I understand, my neighbors on Bernal are experiencing a similar scenario. For the 1000 block of Drake, we have always had cars using Sanchez westbound direction to Drake as an alternative to get into Easton Addition. The speed bumps on Carmelita now have increased traffic turning off of Carmelita onto Drake to Sanchez. It is already a tight and practically blind corner, and cars are now nearly head-on. This is a new situation since the speed bumps were installed. I would also like to add that as a cyclist, this is now an extremely dangerous corner for those walking children, our dogs, cycling, and of course, drivers. Number 2, there are 6 houses on each side of the 1000 block of Drake. I believe you have or will hear from 4 of my neighbors on the west side. The 2 other houses are vacant and construction will begin on 1 house. Regarding construction, there is currently 1 house in active construction and 2 more will begin this year. As I shared with Donna, the construction vehicles will only increase the probability for traffic incidents once the street is filled with parked resident cars and construction trucks. Number 3, I also understand that there were residents requesting monitoring the speed of Carmelita. Did the city actually check with each resident west of El Camino on Carmelita? I know of 3 who are extremely irritated with the speed bumps, and 1 home has been vacant for nearly a year due to a remodel. Carmelita from ECR to Vancouver has only 2 houses for each of the 4 blocks. Half or more of those have addresses on Cortez, Balboa, or Cabrillo. I haven't counted the houses, but I believe there are fewer than 12 houses with Carmelita addresses. My neighbors on Carmelita have told me they were never consulted on this topic. Could you share how many houses on this end of Carmelita requested speed bumps? They are curious, and so am I. Number 4, I believe my neighbors have security cameras that are recording the traffic. I had to adjust my range since the camera was recording much more often. If the commission wants to see what is happening on Drake, please consider installing a camera or ask the residents to share our security videos. Thank you for sharing my concerns at this evening's meeting. I look forward to more discussion on how the city can address the new safety and traffic concerns resulting from the installed speed bumps.
Thank you. Any further public comments?
No other comments.
Okay. Seeing none, we'll move on to item 7B, community group updates.
Any?
I don't have anybody in attendance.
Okay. We'll move on to item 7C, engineering division reports.
Thank you, Chair Rebel. It's just a couple. And again, these are 2 items that we did talk about. The citywide pedestrian improvement projects, 95% complete. The only thing that really is outstanding out there is that rectangular rapid flashing beacon out there at airport at beach. We expect that, again, all this should be installed this summer. So it should be in shortly. And the one that we just heard some public comment on, the bicycle boulevards, phase 1, the update. Projects under construction. The speed cushions have been, most of them have been installed, as well as the all-way stop at Paloma and Carmelita. That was installed a few weeks ago, and I think the Sharrows are to be installed. They're sequencing the phasing. One thing to note, and you've also seen it, we've been receiving emails regarding the speed cushions, and so I expect that this item we will return. You know, the Candyland chart, it showed we were done, but there's probably one more section that sometimes comes up and sometimes doesn't, that we'll need to, go back to the community and see how they feel about it, especially the folks on Carmelita. It's something we went back through, and a lot of folks on that west side requested speed cushions, but, and we went maybe this far, maybe we need to come back, but that's something I'll probably come back and we'll try to reach out to these folks and then get it over again. Again, that's why we use the rubberized speed cushions. We can pull them back, but it's, we got to go somewhere. We got to aim somewhere. So that was our first attempt. So that's the engineer's update.
That's everything. Okay. Comments, questions? Commissioner Israelit?
Thank you. This is just about Carmelita, and I guess we could bring it up also in commissioners' communications, but it makes sense to talk about it here. I feel like, we've had a lot of emails about people. And the problems with the speed bumps on Carmelita, and I think there are 2 issues. One is there are just too many. That it's hard. Like, I live on that side of Eastern Addition. People just don't take Carmelita anymore. It didn't slow traffic. It just forced it onto the other streets that run parallel. And those are streets that have young children on them that aren't used to having much traffic. So I think there have been unintended consequences that have had really negatively impacted several streets, because we've gotten emails from several people, including residents and bikers, who say, that bumps themselves are too difficult to negotiate. So I know a lot of times we like to keep them in place. Nobody likes change. I agree, it can always be a little disruptive, but I think in this instance, we should evaluate it sooner rather than later. And maybe this could be an agenda item on the next meeting or the meeting thereafter, so that we can invite the community to come and voice their concerns. I think we might have screwed up.
Well, through chair, we're going to go out and make our observations. Some have already been made, right? We'll look at, see if there's some of that diversion traffic onto the other streets. as well as, yeah, folks using it. So no, we still need to make our observations because, I mean, they literally have just gone in over the last couple of weeks, right? So I don't think yeah, well, I'll check with staff, but obviously in Lion Hope, our trial period was well over a year. But yeah, we probably won't get to that, but I think we might be a little early. But I'll talk to our director and yeah, because obviously we're getting a lot of feedback, but again, some of it's changed, right?
Well, I think also though, I mean, if we didn't notice the residents, that they were going in, and then there's no, I'm pretty sure I'm right. I mean, there's no other section of the city where we have that density of speed bumps, where we have like, how many is it, 6? It's like 1 or 2 per short block. In East Addition, there are shorter blocks than in Lion Hogue with longer ones. It's very difficult to drive.
No, and we're taking feedback, right? And that's the big part of it. That's still, again, the Candyland chart should have a little bit more on some of the projects. Some are more straightforward. This one involves the community a little bit more. And yeah, I mean, we have to pop them up. We'll consider that. But we still need to just observe a little bit more and see what it's like because I think most of those emails have come from folks that aren't necessarily on Carmelita, so I want to hear from those as well. And I think we did notice all the way to Vancouver. I'm trying to find the mailing that we did, but a lot of those folks that made comments lived on the west side. It wasn't just like we expanded it there, but because I think originally it was to do it between California and El Camino.
Mhm.
And then while we were discussing it, there were folks on the west of El Camino that were, hey, we want to have something similar. And so I think that's where why it's up and down it. So again, when we do it, we'll notice the same folks along both sides of El Camino and Carmelita, and we'll try to expand it on at least they get
Great.
notification. We'll do a little bit more as
Okay.
put the A-frames out to let them know the meeting. And I think in our emails, the response emails to the folks, we have indicated that here's the agenda, at least it gives them some place to look at to see when the upcoming meeting's coming. But we will go out there and we'll put some, like we've done we've been more recently doing on Truesdale, Murchison Davis, as well as Occidental. We put a A-frame out there and say, here's the meeting, QR code. So
Yeah.
we'll try to do more of that.
And I think a lot of the emails that people have sent have said they understand the need for traffic calming, but it's the number, I think. the number
That's fair.
That was excessive. So I don't think it's just people saying, we don't want speed bumps.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Any,
Yeah.
Vice Chair?
So Mr. Wong, we did get a lot of emails and I'm assuming you're going to respond to each one of those, I hope.
I think I got to,
I know you're busy.
think-
I know you're busy.
I think I
But please, because,
Fine.
we feel obligated to provide some sort of response, but we're really not allowed to provide the response. We rely on you to provide the response to those people. So
yeah, and I
I want
think,
to make sure that you're,
yeah, and if I
Okay.
missed it, please let me know, but
well, it goes all the way back to Mr. Velasco, who was the first one that sent
Oh.
an email. So make sure you,
I think he's been
Well.
responded to by,
okay.
so.
All right.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Couch, do you have any questions or comments on the last items?
No, I just think, I agree with you. I think it's a good idea to bring that back into agenda item.
Mhm.
I think that we have to balance between having enough time in the study but actually by the number of emails that have been sent in, it warrants some examination.
Okay.
We agree.
Thank you for that. So my comments, I'd just like to remind all of us that the speed humps did come before the TSPC for approval. And it was discussed. And I think they've only been there a couple of weeks now, right?
Something.
Yeah, and so, sort of like how the speed humps are designed to slow down the traffic, I think initial reactions are one thing. And I want to be cautious of this commission micromanaging projects based on reactions. So I would just like to call attention to that. I would also say that I think, I've seen, I think 5 emails about the Carmelita. And I haven't seen any from anyone who lives on Carmelita. And the reason this came up in the first place was because there was a large outcry from the residents who live on Carmelita. So everyone deserves to be heard. As our engineer points out, that the speed humps, they can be removed quite easily if they need to be. And I think we just need to kind of, stand by here. We're going into the summer, children out of school. It's going to be a different season. We'll see how they go, and we'll get feedback from the community. And I appreciate everyone's feedback, but I think we need to avoid being reactionary, and I think we need to avoid trying to micromanage a project based on initial reactions, generally speaking. Having said that, unless someone feels strongly that we need to comment on it further, it's just about 8:40, and I'd like to not go past 9 o'clock. So is everyone okay with moving on to the next item? Okay, thank you. So we are on 7C. So let's go to 7D, Sergeant Roberts. Police Department reports. Please.
Good evening. So I have a report for the month of March as well as April. I have them separately listed. So I'll start with March, which is up on the screen there. For the month of March, I had 15 collisions on the report. And as a reminder, collisions that occurred on private property or hit and runs, or collisions where no cause could be determined, or collisions that were criminal in nature, like a DUI, were filtered out and do not appear in the report. For the month of March, I had 12 collisions with another motor vehicle, 1 with a parked motor vehicle, and 2 collisions with fixed or other objects. Most common collision factors or unsafe turning movements or speed. I've highlighted several of the collision reports to discuss. I'll briefly go over them as they may be in areas that are of interest to the commission. About halfway down, the case number ending in 747. This was a collision, vehicle versus vehicle, that occurred in the area of Burlingame Avenue and Primrose. This particular collision, a vehicle was parked along Burlingame Avenue, and they pulled out of a parking space into the path of a vehicle traveling eastbound. So this was a vehicle entering the roadway from the parking. No injuries were reported. Case ending in 761, so about almost 2/3 of the way down. This was a vehicle collision. Vehicle was traveling northbound on El Camino Real. It rear-ended another vehicle that was stopped for the red light at Hillside. And the injuries were report of complaint of pain. Excuse me. And then the last 2 I highlighted, case ending in 853. This is another vehicle versus vehicle, where a vehicle was traveling northbound on El Camino Real. It ran the red light and collided with a vehicle that was eastbound on Howard. Appears that inattention was the cause for the running of the red light, and this was a report of complaint of pain. And then the final report at the bottom, vehicle, where a vehicle was traveling northbound on El Camino Real, approaching Hillside Drive. It made an unsafe lane change and collided with the vehicle beside it in the other lane. And those are the 4 that I highlighted, but I welcome any questions about other reports, other collisions within this report.
Thank you, Sergeant. Any questions or comments?
I have questions, so is Commissioner Israelite.
Just
Go ahead.
question, could you repeat what you said about, like, did you filter out DUIs and criminal? Did you say criminal?
Yes,
So you filtered them out, so we're not seeing them.
correct.
Could you, is there, we used to, I think, have the DUIs. Is there a reason?
Uh,
It's DUIs without collision?
I felt that the cause, somebody being intoxicated really wasn't relevant to infrastructure changes that we
yeah.
could make within the city.
I would just be curious to know like the number of DUIs, like what we're dealing with, not that, I guess it wouldn't really affect us though. Yeah, okay, we'll pass on that. Thank you. I just wanted to clarify because I wasn't sure if I heard it.
So,
Fauci?
I'm sorry, did you say 15 collisions and all 15 were vehicle? Correct?
No, 12 of the collisions were vehicle versus vehicle. One was a vehicle versus a parked vehicle.
Okay.
And then 2 were vehicles that collided with a fixed or other objects. So that's usually like backing into a telephone pole or something like that.
So I know both in March and April reports, we don't have any pedestrians or bicycles that have been hit. Can we
Uh,
a bell that we ring or something?
Gold
Un-
stars for every.
Unfortunately, there is one for April that did involve a pedestrian, and I'll go over that.
Oh, okay,
Oh.
so no bell.
No bell.
Well,
And,
bell for
uh,
March.
and then my last just comment, the majority of these collisions are in El Camino, which is a common theme.
Mhm.
Are these going somehow, these reports, to what's happening with Caltrans? Is that
All of our reports are submitted to the state.
just in their work that they're doing for the new design? Have those dots been connected at all?
Through chair, in our meetings with them, I mean, obviously it's also a pedestrian ADA project, so we're pushing upon them, the need for the improvements. Right, so it includes extending sidewalks, as Commissioner Israel has pointed out. So they're not necessarily seeing the collision report, but I mean, they know of this as part of the reason that they're doing this project as well, so.
I mean, I'd have to do some math, but I think it's probably 70% of our collisions are on El Camino, it seems. It's a very high percentage. And then my last question is the other one I'm seeing is on California, which, the one was at Broadway. Just curious if any of that has anything to do with any of the that have taken place there.
I believe that one involved a vehicle, if you're referring to the case ending in 725, it was a vehicle traveling northbound on California Drive. That vehicle ran the red light and hit a vehicle westbound on Broadway.
Ran a red light.
Yeah.
Okay. Vice Chair,
Sure.
nothing?
Next
Okay.
month.
I would just like to comment that I actually think this is a pretty light month, which is a good sign. And I would just assume El Camino Real is probably the highest volume of traffic of all the roads in Burlingame overall. I mean, it's the only real direct route from one end to the other, from Millbrae to San Mateo. So it's probably, I can't imagine that there's another street with higher volume. But we'll get to the El Camino Real renewal committee later on in this meeting. So let's move on. Oh,
Sorry,
Tom,
has to go to.
right, the next
month of
month, you're right.
Yeah.
April.
All right. So for the month of April, there were 12 collisions on this report. And 7 of those were vehicle colliding with another vehicle. We had 1 parked vehicle collision, 3 with fixed or other objects, and then there was 1 pedestrian-related collision, which I'll go over. And I'll just dive right into the reports. Obviously, the pedestrian-related collision. This involved a vehicle traveling southbound on Primrose Road, approaching City Hall Lane. So that's sort of right in the area of the CJ's Deli. And a pedestrian on the east side, a juvenile, suddenly ran across the street, and fortunately, there's no major injuries reported. It was pedestrian was struck by the vehicle, resulting in minor abrasions. But it was the issue was that the pedestrian ran out into the street when the car was approaching mid-block. And then the other one that I highlighted was a couple below that, also downtown. vehicle versus vehicle. This one was a little strange, which is why I wanted to highlight it, but it occurred on Burlingame Avenue in the area of, this is a case ending in 1014, and Burlingame Avenue in the area of Lorton. Vehicle traveling eastbound on Burlingame Avenue crossed the double yellow to pass a vehicle that was stopped waiting for another vehicle that was pulling out of the parking space. The vehicle that was doing the passing on the wrong side of the road attempted to re-enter the correct lane, but the parked vehicle had already established their position in the roadway, and a collision ensued.
Thank you, Sergeant. Any questions or comments?
I just have one.
Yes, please.
You know, I this is just anecdotal, so, but it seems like there's a lot of double parking and a lot of that activity on Burlingame Avenue where a car is waiting for another car to pull out for a parking spot and someone goes around and into on traffic lane. I was just curious, have the police been noticing that they've been issuing more moving violations or warnings or tickets for bad behavior in driving in the city in the past 6 months?
I don't have any data specifically indicating an increase in citations being issued. I know that we do issue citations for bad behavior. So downtown does get a little congested, I believe. Yeah, this occurred at 11 a.m., so kind of leading up to the lunch hour. So time of day could be a factor. I don't know what the reasoning was that they felt they needed to go around, maybe impatience, as I'm speculating.
Any other questions, comments?
Nope.
Okay. Public comment? Okay, seeing none, we will move on to item 7E, TSPC Chair and Commissioners Communications. Anyone have any communications they want to share?
Other than the emails we all received.
Okay. Right, and there, so we'll move on to item 8A, committee reports, public comment related to committee reports.
I have no public comment.
None, okay. So we'll go through the committees. That's item 8. Okay, I'm trying to keep count. Item 8B, BIS, school safety study, Commissioner Israelit and Commissioner Ing.
We had kept this subcommittee active until we were sure that the project was complete. I believe, Mr. Wong, that it's pretty much complete at this point. Is there something outstanding?
I think the one is, through the chair, the one is just to confirm that white zone on Casada. I just need to check back with the principal. He was, when I sent the last time, he was out, so. Well, he was actually out, so it wasn't hard to get a hold of. So I just had to follow up again.
Okay.
And bug him.
Okay, so I'll wait for Commissioner Eng to return, but it might be possible that we could phase this one out next meeting, but I'd like to have him present to weigh in.
Okay. All right, and item 8C, Hillside Drive Safety and Traffic Calming, also Commissioner Israelit and Commissioner Ing.
We have not yet met, but that is on the agenda to start work on that issue.
Okay. And item 8D, ECR Renewal, Commissioner Israelit and Vice Chair Martos.
Moi? Okay,
You would
so at the joint meeting with council, we found out that this project isn't going to be,
It's delayed by a year.
yeah, to make it simple, yeah. Spring of 2025. So we haven't been contacted for any kind of studies or anything. So I would say that we table this or disband this committee. And, you know, anytime is fine with us because there's really no actions and no activity going on at this time.
And we thought we would bring it back, revive it when, you know, the project actually
Right.
starts to get underway. So do we have to move? I know we have to vote
We
to
do.
establish subcommittees. Do we need to make a motion and second it and vote to disband committees?
Is that the
Do we need a,
role of the chair?
agenda item for that? Would that need to come at the next meeting?
Sure. I don't believe, I think we just go through that because we're forming several subcommittees based on that. Again, it's the role of the chair to appoint or
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
you can
Switch it.
merely
You can disband it as well.
So we don't need to vote on it.
No,
all you.
All you.
it's all your responsibility.
So I'm hearing that the two of you, Commissioner Israelit and Vice Chair Martos, feel that this subcommittee, the ECR renewal, is maybe premature,
Yes.
Yes.
and you're looking to either sunset it, or are you looking to just table it? If we table it, it's gonna come up at every meeting. If we sunset it, when you're ready to reconvene and
Let's,
start a new committee, subcommittee, you can just do that.
let's sunset.
Sunset it.
Okay. Do I need to strike the gavel, or? What's the
It's in,
formal,
Make a sign.
it's in the minutes.
okay, and
Record.
so, item 8E, KPIs, Commissioner Couchy and myself, we're convening on the 23rd of this month.
Yeah, so we've already, I think that we've made some good progress, right? So we've narrowed down kind of the three buckets of where the KPIs will be. The first one is a safety bucket, which will really kind of lean into the Vision Zero metrics. The second one is all around execution, and that'll be around where activity around the bike ped master plan implementation, and where we are in those identified plan and routes. And then the third one will be a bucket around results, and that'll be looking at implementations, changes that have occurred in the roadways and seeing if they've achieved the goals that they were set out to be. So those are kind of the three buckets. The details of kind of what those metrics are under them will be something that'll be worked out over the next several months.
I'm glad you explained that. You did much better than I could have. I'm not good at explaining things. Item 8F, Vision Zero, Martos and myself. I mean, there's been no activity on that.
Nothing.
Yeah,
Haven't heard anything. Mr. Sy sent an email a month ago,
Yeah.
6 weeks ago. Haven't heard anything since then.
I mean, and they're changing the name of it from Vision Zero to something else.
Oh,
Is the city council working, or do you
Hmm?
liaise with the city
it was
council?
supposed to be, but I haven't.
It's all been via
Heard it.
email thus far, just kind of status updates.
Through Chair, I'll check back with Mr. Sy. I don't know. Yeah, I've had my head under a bunch of other things, so.
All right, so we'll move on to, we need to take public comment if there's any public comment on these items. We did at the
No,
beginning.
you did at the beginning.
Yeah, so item 9, future agenda item.
Through the chair, a couple things. We talked about potentially the speed cushions from the bike boulevards may come back. We talked about the other ones. Occidental will be coming up. Truesdale, Murchison, Davis, maybe the other projects, once we advance them, the North and South Rollins, as well as California Drive. The one that I know will be coming soon and of interest to you is the AB 413, how the city, and we actually still have to work with PD on. We've kind of developed internally a plan, so we're going to share it with them and then go through it. And once we finalize that, we'll bring it to you folks. And then a lot of it will be outreach, not only here, but the entire community, because it affects everybody. And in mostly positive ways, right? But they just need to know so they don't get a citation or a warning. So we're working on something, and we're going to try to see if there's any other media there to do it, but you'll see it in the future. We'll get, once we package that up. So those are the items I had that are upcoming, and then whatever ideas that you have.
Fellow commissioners, any future agenda items you'd like to bring up? Once, twice?
Well, in the engineer's report, Mr. Wong, is it possible to get status of things like the Oak Grove, California flashing, the signal and things like that, things, projects that we've seen in the past and we're not really sure
Sure,
where they're at.
yeah, we can, are you talking about Oak Grove, Carolyn?
No, where the train track is. Oh, yeah, Oak Grove, Carolyn.
In
Yeah,
Carolyn,
yeah,
the
right.
new signal.
Yes, yes.
That new signal.
I can give you an update on.
Things like
although
that.
It's not much because we still have to, we have to set up a meeting with Caltrans out in the field. And
Okay.
But also updating up, we talked about, because I just noticed it again, people pulling into oncoming traffic or into the bike lane at southbound on California at Broadway. And we had talked about taking away like 5 parking spots to allow more room. We talked about that a long time
Mhm,
ago. Like,
mhm.
oh,
Mm-hmm.
not on the new facility. Yes. I'll follow up with Mr. Sai. I think I'll have to see where we left that one off at, but I know you were talking about right there by the gas station and by
Yeah,
Goodwill.
yeah.
Yeah, we'll,
And I think we also talked about, and I think this is important to move on sooner rather than later, no left turn onto that very first street as you're heading northbound on California and you pass Broadway. There's a, it's not, maybe it's
Toyo's.
where Goodwill is.
Yes.
Yeah,
Mhm.
because that intersection has gotten so busy, if a car stops to turn left, cars get stacked up into the intersection and on the train track. So we had talked about not having a left turn be there, and you could make the next left turning and circle back, but that way you wouldn't be obstructing traffic so close to a really big intersection.
yeah, I'll bring that back up. Sorry.
So I had one more thing, through the chair. So, Mr. Wong, any more concerns from the schools? I mean, BIS, yeah, and we've worked that really well. But any of the elementary schools or the parochial schools or even the high school, and any concern from that you've heard, any issues?
No,
Okay, so we're doing a good job.
well, we've touched Washington,
Yeah.
McKinley,
Hoover,
Hoover, Roosevelt,
yeah.
Franklin,
Okay.
BIS.
No, I mean, it's great.
No, yeah.
That's, I'm happy to
touched
hear
them
that.
all, so that's
Yeah.
probably a reason.
I'm happy to hear that. And this is a big concern, school safety and safe routes to schools. And if there's no feedback, then we have to assume we're doing a good job there. Okay, very good.
Okay, anyone else?
Oh, the only other one, I brought this up when we went through the Lion Hog area, that one dip. Someone was gonna go out and look at that,
Is it?
the dip on,
Culvert,
it's on
drainage?
Bloomfield.
Yeah, and if it's the inlets, I mean, that's something that's been occurring, but we have to have the drainage through there.
The drainage is fine, but just marking it so that
Dip
the
ahead.
cars slow down. Because right now there's probably, I don't know, I'm gonna say 33-inch gaps in the road where the cars have come in and
Bottom.
did a chunk out of the road.
You can see that.
Well,
You
they,
see
they won't do that
grooves
twice.
in asphalt, you know, there's
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
there's an issue.
Okay, anything else?
Yeah, yeah.
Anything else?
Mm-mm.
No?
No, but I would like, I would like to just consider, when you guys do the agenda, to consider having the Carmelita speed bumps on the agenda so that neighbors can come. What's upsetting them, because they're obviously reaching out to us in larger numbers than we usually hear from.
Well, I would just say they can reach out to us. We don't have to have it on the agenda. They can public comment, email. I mean, I have a strong opinion. This is way too soon. And 2 weeks into something, we have no way to know. You know,
And
There-
I would counter that it's not like inconvenience, but people are actually seeing unintended and worrisome traffic patterns on surrounding streets. So even if people on Carmelita haven't written to us. The other people are very near neighbors are
Yeah.
impacted.
Yeah, and we're open.
And through chair, staff's monitoring, right? We're going out, we're going to take a look and see if there's, do our best to try to track the diversion traffic and see if, we'll see what the volumes are on Carmelita as we're out there observing.
Very good. So item 10, adjournment. I motion to adjourn.
Move to
Can I get a
adjourn.
Second, please.
Second.
Meeting adjourned. Thank you.
We have.
All right.